I'll have to go look. I just keep watching the 3.5-inch guys complain about the 6-inch guys, which, well, go figure.
I mean, they should. I mean, wouldn't you complain?
We can make that joke all day.
The Force is what gives the Jedi his power.
Why is the Force connecting us?
I am a Jedi. Always do, Jedi.
We're a dyad in the Force.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Force Diet Podcast, a Star Wars show covering the latest and greatest, from the core worlds to the Outer Rim. If Star Wars is your space, we are your place. We are honored that you've joined us. On tonight's episode, we have got a trifecta of Bad Batch episodes, sprinkled with a little news and a sweet trailer for Tales of the Empire that we're going to talk about. I am your host, Obi Sean, and joining me tonight to chat about all that greatness is my co-host with the most, Jedi John. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. We're here. We finally made it happen this week. Man, a lot of things in the way, but made it happen.
Bedtime is only getting easier.
I would disagree with that statement, but we'll play along with it. Yes,
for sure. But we got a lot of good Star Wars stuff to chat about, right?
So many nuggets of goodness.
A glut? Not a glutton. A glutton is someone who consumes. A glut of content. I don't know. Someone will fact check me. Along with the Tales of the Empire trailer, right? We actually got the Mando and Grogu announcement, as well as some Outlaws news.
How exciting!
It seems like so far away, you know.
It is,
because it is far away.
Feel like it's far away.
It is far away. But first, before we jump into that, today was a very cool day, celestially, with the eclipse. Did you get a chance to see the sun partially go away today?
I went outside and now I'm permanently blind. I look straight into it
Smart.
With no protective wear. And it's amazing that I can be on the show tonight because I can't see my own house. So I made it, though, just for you.
That's good. Well, and the important thing is that you don't need to see to be able to speak. We had Connor swim practice tonight, and Kara, the loving mom that she is, tried to make an excuse for Connor not swimming well on a particular lap or whatever because he had water in his goggles, to which I replied, you don't need to see to be able to swim well.
This is a fact. In fact, normally I shut my eyes
to talk Star Wars. So you got to see this. So okay, fine, cool. So you saw you
can't see through that cotton.
I'm fumbling the bag here. So you saw the eclipse. I too saw the eclipse. But apparently, I found out today that the next one's going to be in 2044.
Yes, in North America, yeah.
And it's going to cross Disney World. So clearly, we're going to go spend that in Galaxy's Edge, right, to see the next eclipse.
That'd be pretty sweet. That'd be pretty sweet. We can make that happen.
So
it'll happen over Disney World?
Yeah, Disney World, apparently.
Which means most of it will not hit the U.S. then.
Correct. It's like skirting across California, and then through the southern United States, and then into Florida, apparently.
Interesting.
So yeah, all of our fellow Star Wars fans, we should, all travel down to Florida and go view it at Galaxy's Edge.
It sounds like it's going to be a lightsaber meetup. That's what it sounds like it's going to be.
That would be cool. So Eclipse was cool. Way better than the Star Wars game that apparently was going to come out called Eclipse. So 10 out of 10 would recommend this Eclipse over that Eclipse.
10 out of 10.
So Star Wars news, right? Speaking of Disney World, Disneyland, last week, new Star Wars Star Tours scenarios came out, right? Ahsoka, Andor, etc. I've seen a bunch of Instagram reels about it. Apparently, it's pretty sweet. So,
I mean, they can't revamp the ride too much. I imagine the new visuals are great. I really enjoyed the ride growing up when I went there, along with with my family that I just took. I'm trying to think. I guess 4 was too young the last time we went. I'm probably gonna try to force him on there next time we go. Um, it was a lot of fun though, and I didn't get motion sick on that ride, which was surprising. As I get older, I feel like I am finding more and more rides that I'm not able to handle, which is unfortunate. But that one didn't affect me. So I'm excited to go to Disney World. I'll probably be there in September at this point and go check it out for us.
Of this year? You're going in September.
Well, evidently a work meeting got scheduled in Orlando. So if I'm going to be in Orlando for work, my wife was like, well, if you're going to be in Orlando, I'm not going to not come to Disney. So my work trip will be extended, I believe.
Nice. Well, that'll be fun.
It'll be cool, though. Daughter's never been. She won't remember anyway. 4 might start actually remembering this time, so that I look forward to that. And 4 is more into the characters now, along with Star Wars, along with Marvel stuff, even though there's not a ton of Marvel at Disney World per se. But he's way more into all the Disney characters, so hopefully he's not afraid of people dressed up as his favorite characters this time around. We saw a lot of tears last time. So
at Star Wars Celebration, when he was approached by the Wookiee, that was hilarious. That was good.
The Wookiees are not his friend.
Good memories. Those are good. Good times.
You know, he's right to be afraid of Wookiees. I mean, they tear people's arms off.
They do.
mean, let's be real here.
They do indeed.
He knows. He's seen the movies.
He's no fool. So yeah, we're I think we're planning to go later this year. Hopefully, fingers crossed. And so we will definitely be making a Star Wars The Adventure Continues TM visit. So to see to see hopefully one of the new scenarios. With my luck, I'll get one of the old ones, and I'll have to stand in the 25-minute line again to ride it a second time. Speaking of Disney, we got the Mando and Grogu release dates. Came out yesterday, maybe it was today, I don't know. But it is May 22nd of 2026. So we are 2 years away from that.
Because Bob Iger said more is better.
I'm surprised.
I'm excited for it.
I'm excited for it. The production timeline, unless they've already started, it seems, I know that they were on the 2-year cycle with the sequel trilogy. So I was kind of hoping that maybe they would stretch it a little bit further, to allow for polish.
Something else to hit, yeah.
But with John and Dave and all them helming it, I actually have a bit more optimism, I think, in the production timeline.
You didn't believe the April 1st news that Dave Filoni stepped down from Lucasfilm?
I didn't fall for that one.
You didn't fall for it?
No, I did not.
I only saw it like 10 different times, and people tagged me everywhere, so I appreciated it.
I mean, if it's on Facebook, it's got to be true. So
absolutely, especially on April 1st.
That's how I live my life. So we got that May of 26, and then story trailer. Other news: a story trailer for Star Wars Outlaws actually drops tomorrow, or let's see, it's still Monday. Yeah, so on Tuesday at what time? I got 11 a.m. Central Time, so that's 12 for you on the East Coast and 9 a.m. For you on the West Coast. So that's going to be exciting
for everybody out there.
What's that?
Good math. That's good math for everybody out there.
Yeah, I can add pluses and +1 and -2. For you mountain folks, that's 10 a.m. too. I don't want to leave our mountain listeners out.
What about in Hawaii?
I think they're what are they, -6 hours, something like that?
I think it's 5 actually, but yeah, something like that.
I don't know if they do daylight savings time or not, but yeah, story trailer. So that'll be good. I'll be curious to see if it's more like, if it's an extended gameplay trailer, kind of like the first, extended look we had, where you had in-game footage, or if it will be kind of just like a 2.5-3 minute, high-res CG trailer like that.
Like trailer.
Yeah. So, but
I
anything.
imagine we're gonna get a full trailer. That's what I'm feeling.
Well, I'm hoping that we get a release date with it.
You are so funny.
Well, it should come out this year, apparently. So, if that's the case, then
Yep.
I'm hopeful. So, last bit of news to cover is the new trailer that we got late last week, kind of out of nowhere, for Tales of the Empire, which looks incredible. Your thoughts? I'm not even gonna recap the trailer. Just what were your thoughts?
Yeah, we don't have to recap the trailer. I mean, if you've watched it once, you probably watched it 3 times because it looked awesome, and you're like, let me watch that one more time. I'm super excited to see Barasafi back. I think you and I have discussed her previously about she's still out there. She was a captive and not technically a Jedi anymore. So, what happened? And they made that very blatantly clear in the trailer. Like, good thing you're not a Jedi.
Would have ruined your weekend.
Would have ruined your weekend and your life. Anyway, but very excited to see the extension of Tales of the Jedi, obviously going and flipping sides to the Empire to give us some backstory on some of our favorite dark side characters. I think I've said this multiple times on this show. Like, if there's more Empire to see, give it to me. Like, as much as you can give me, I'll take.
Yeah,
Yep.
the dark side. Well, not even dark side, but yeah, the villain angle, right? Everyone loves to watch the villain, right? I am excited to get Morgan's backstory, right? Because of course she kind of came out of nowhere. She didn't kind of. She did completely come out of nowhere in Ahsoka, right? And so you, of course, are wondering how she gets pulled in with Thrawn in that initial exchange with Ahsoka. And what I'm curious about is kind of timing, because in the trailer, the captions describe Thrawn as Admiral and not Grand Admiral. So unless it's an oversight, which very well could be, unless it's an oversight, it's taking place in a time before we see him in Rebels, of course. I actually just finished the Thrawn audiobook, and the timeline between when he becomes Grand Admiral and his time, going to Lothal on behest of Governor Price, which that book is awesome, by the way.
Yes.
If you have a chance to read it or listen to it, it is fantastic. And the guy who does Thrawn's voice is incredible. It almost sounds like Lars Mikkelsen. If it isn't him, the dude who does it is amazing. But anyways, I'm getting off track. Yeah, he doesn't get his Grand Admiral designation until right before then. So it'll be curious if...
Right, because in the Thrawn trilogy, when you first start working with him, it's not... you meet him when he first is working with Vader, and he's not near Grand Admiral yet, so...
Well, that's an alliance. That's in alliances.
Oh, alliances. Sorry, you're talking about the new.
I'm talking about Thrawn that comes before alliances, right? So, and so yeah, in alliances, it picks up with him and Vader working together because they meet right at the end of the Thrawn book. But yeah, so I'm curious to see when in the timeline, of course, their initial interaction works or happens, and it'll be curious to see if we get any sort of nuggets as to what he perhaps is using her for, perhaps to get as far as the Nightsister thing, or if it's just completely that's a non-start, that's a non-existent thing. There is no Nightsister connection at that point. But we see her obviously as the sort of governor of that outpost, and then the Barasafi as a inquisitor. I think that's something that everyone thought Marok could have been either Ezra or Barriss, which we see Marok I believe, at the end of the trailer, or at least someone who is dressed like him, as well as long nose man who ends up getting
long nose.
gets destroyed by Ahsoka in Tales of the Jedi. So that'll be interesting because we see quite a few different Inquisitors in Rebels, and so if this takes place before then, that
I can see Barriss going not the way of the dark side. I think we're gonna get a flip.
that's so passé. Like just leave it bad. Just leave her evil. Like it's fine. Like she has no reason to be redeemed.
Some people liked her good though. When you first meet Barriss in Clone Wars, her and Ahsoka connect.
Yeah.
And work through the issues they were having on. Oh shoot, where were they at?
That is a great question, and I do not have that answer.
No. Yes. You know the planet. It's the worm. It's a hive. It's the
Geonosis.
Yes, thank you, Geonosis. I just blanked. Yeah,
Okay.
they're on Geonosis, and they are working through the hive mind together. I think.
Oh yeah, I think I remember that episode or that arc.
Yeah, they're trapped underground, and Luminara is coaching Anakin on trusting your Padawan to complete their mission while they complete their own mission. So it's a learning for both Padawan and Master. That episode.
That's beautiful. That's a beautiful thing.
It's a circle.
But yeah, so dropping May 4th. So here I was thinking that we would have like a 1 month break to like roll into Acolyte, and jokes on me.
They're gonna give us more stuff.
Give us more stuff to talk about. Which I wouldn't be surprised if they don't give us all 6 like they did. I'm assuming there's 6 episodes, like they did with Tales of the Jedi. But I don't know that the episode count has actually been announced yet. Maybe it's on IMDb. I guess I could do some research. But anyways, May 4th.
Do some research, and I have the last bit of news I want to share.
Okay, you go, and I'll do some research here.
I know we've talked about it multiple times now, but they started coming out with more ticket information for Star Wars Celebration in 2025 in Tokyo.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know this year is the first year they're offering VIP presale?
What?
Yes. If you bought VIPs last year to London,
oh well, you didn't.
You get a pre-sale for Tokyo VIP tickets, which is very disheartening for me because I've been a VIP at 2 different shows now, and that was not the case going into either one of the previous shows. So it's frustrating for me because they should open it up to anybody that had VIP tickets. No, I'm kidding.
Sad face.
I do wish they would open it up, but I did find that out, and I think that is, well, whoever went to London last year, good luck. And also, if you're VIP and you snag me a ticket, I will buy it and then fly. So,
would you go to Japan?
I would do everything I could to go. I think it'd be a blast.
I would love to go to Japan for Star Wars Celebration.
I think I would love to be there and then be there for another week after Celebration to explore everything I want to explore.
And buy all the Pokemon packs. You can't add
listen,
at market price.
Calm down there. Only a few. 100.
That's what the extra carry-on's for.
The extra carry-on would be 100% empty. In fact, I might have 2 empty carry-ons, and I would have a small duffel for clothing.
There you
be
go.
Fine.
Yeah, so 6 episodes for Tales of the Empire.
I assumed it would be the same.
And they do all drop at the same, on the 4th. So.
Ooh, so we'll have lots to talk about.
Yes, so we will be binging multiple.
We'll probably be splitting episodes those weeks, I think.
It'll be good.
We'll be splitting episodes.
Presumably, unless they do the weird jump thing where like episode 2 and then 5 and 6 is one, and then although we could do that anyway. So
well, yeah, I imagine we'll just cover the arcs. It'll be fun.
That'll be good.
Fun.
So yeah, so that's
Look at us planning right in front of everybody else.
Let's see if we can stick to the plan.
This is how it all comes together, guys.
Stay on target. We're too close. Yeah, so that's kind of the end of the news segment. That was a bit more involved than I expected. So pivoting now to our Bad Batch discussion. So since we last talked a couple weeks ago, we've had 3 episodes, one and then a double drop last week. We've got The Harbinger, Identity Crisis, and Point of No Return. So episode 9, The Harbinger, we get our girl Asajj.
Go ahead and put a check mark next to "We were right."
We did call that one, although it probably wasn't that hard of a call.
Pretty
but
obvious.
You know what? We get so many things wrong. We're gonna pat ourselves on the back when we do get one right.
We take what we get. A win's a win. A win's a win, baby.
We're not greedy. We are not greedy. So yeah, we get Asajj, and the girl and her dog wander off into the cave to find this person who has mysteriously snuck into this planet undetected. Which
You know what I can't imagine? Omega going off on her own and finding trouble.
So
Sorry.
No, that's. I mean, you're right. Like it's MacGuffin. MacGuffin is MacGuffin. MacGuffin does MacGuffin things. Although it was technically Batcher who wandered off, and then she chased after.
Batcher warned.
Batcher
warned.
She did. So, yeah, we get Asajj, who is of course sent by Fennec, and the question comes up about M count, of course, and she puts Omega kind of through like this sort of Jedi-ish test, if you will. Crosshair discovers who it is. One of the coolest fight scene animation things takes place between her and the Batch, and she just wipes the floor with them. It was awesome to watch. And so, but anyways, she wins that fight. She sends Omega off to do this errand quest as part of her training, and cut back. They are left to complete sort of the test, I guess, if you will, because she's testing her blood, she's testing her skills, etc. They go out on the raft, and they are visited once again by a massive monster in the water. After a harrowing sort of escape, they go back to the cave to find out that allegedly Omega's M count is not sufficient or high enough or what have you, based on the test that Asajj runs. The Batch thinks she's lying. She's like, yeah, we'll see. And that's kind of it, right? We get Asajj for a lot more than I was expecting her to be in that episode, which was nice. But it's effectively, and Omega gets kind of a crash course in training. There's some sort of trust element to it. There's you got to let go for her to reach her potential. Little discussion there at the end between her and the guys, and the search continues for why Omega is being hunted. So, your thoughts on the episode?
I'll agree that the fight with the Bad Batch was excellent. Asajj not just showing her powers, but showing her poise and what's the word? Restraint. As she could have killed them without even blinking.
Easily.
Was not a challenge. I think she was expecting more from them, but she just took care of it. I mean, it was what it was. You can obviously see some distrust from the Bad Batch with her, which makes sense. It's a foreign bounty hunter that they don't know coming to them. She did foreshadow the fact that if she found them as easily as she did, it would not take long for other things to happen, which, well, we'll talk about in a minute here. I feel like the next 2 episodes were pretty much coming after she said that to them. Just the way, I mean, we're closing down the series at this point, so like things are going to start happening more rapidly as we move through the next half the episode. The next half of the season. Overall, I enjoyed it. Seeing the big monster in the water again. I think we're just about over monsters in the water, but at the same time, it was good to see that Asajj was taking control of, like, if they let me do what I want to do, we'll be okay. But if they keep firing and antagonizing the beast, we're going to be in a load of trouble. And it just goes back to showing how force sensitive creatures are, and how the force can connect you with other beings, not just people, so to speak, similar to Ezra, and then the way we've seen Omega interact with any creature outside of species, so to speak.
Yeah, and it's the cool thing about that particular scene that you just mentioned with the Baratheon is, and Brown Leader mentioned it on their last episode or last one or the one prior to it, the Dark Disciple nods. There's a couple scenes with a particular creature. You didn't start reading that, did you?
I did not. No.
Yeah. So there is a particular creature on Dathomir that those who are deemed ready to like take the next step in the training have to overcome. They have to defeat, more or less. And it's this almost like a Leviathan type creature that lives in this pool of I forget what it's called exactly. But at some point in the story, she and Quinlan go to Dathomir, and Quinlan is forced to face off against this creature. And the whole point is that you are meant to like use the force to control it, right? And not sort of give into it, because the second it senses that, then it can turn and you lose control over the beast. And so it was almost a perfect kind of like comparison, and not even comparison, it was a great callback to that calm, that sense of calm that you have to have in order to face that creature, with Asajj and the Baratheon in this episode. So that was a really cool Dark Disciple nod, among other things, of course. So, do you think that that she was lying about her M count levels? I mean, I know we get kind of a little bit of an explanation in episode 10, but
yeah, I think that she explained it pretty well. It means you have the attunement to it, but you don't. Without training, it means nothing. Mm-hmm. Which, granted, we have seen the opposite be true many times. If you're powerful with the Force, you are sometimes very gifted very quickly, so to speak.
Well, sure. I mean, there are wonderkins and everything, so why wouldn't there be Force wonderkins?
Right. I'm just not gonna go. I'm not gonna do it. Don't bait me. Don't do it. But I think that she did lie as far as what the tools Omega has. I think she has more than Asajj let on. I also think that Asajj gave the Bad Batch their answer. If you want her to do more, you need to let her go. Mm-hmm. And if she came with someone like me, she would be safe. Similar to previously with, like, we were talking about Fennec's motives. Mm-hmm. And Fennec was trying to keep her safe from Cad, but nobody knew that when we first met Fennec. And the Bad Batch still didn't really know that when they met Fennec. So even though she's like, I had a different buyer, or my client was trying to protect Omega, and until she reveals the client, nobody knows, So from a Bad Batch standpoint, Asajj is still an enemy, and so Asajj was just like, I think I think it shows a lot of restraint from Asajj because I think she knew that if she tried to force Omega with her, it wasn't going to go. So the easiest way for her to get off planet, leave everything intact, was to say she's not worthy, kind of. In so many words.
Yeah, and again, like where she's coming from in like her existence, right? It was interesting because she had a more sort of softer approach kind of out of the gate, whereas when you meet her in Dark Disciple, she is strictly against teaming up with anyone. Quinlan, of course, softens that considerably. And so I am still curious to know if we'll ever learn about kind of sort of what Nightsister magic it was that brought her back. But I really, thinking about the episode a bit more, I enjoyed the sort of loose Easter egg, I guess, or not even Easter egg, but a callback to Empire Strikes Back with Luke's training and Yoda, where he's like standing on one foot, doing handstands, trying to balance and everything. And it's like, what does this have anything to do with, right? And it was that sort of that non-believer, shun the non-believer sort of view of things for someone who's uninitiated. And Omega's response, like, oh, so you're a Jedi. And she's like, no, even though she was a Padawan at one point, and then, of course, sort of a Sith initiate type thing. And I thought it was interesting, though, that she calls out, or that she talks to the fact that, of course, people can change. They go after her, the batch goes after her because of what she was. She was a war criminal, right? During the Clone Wars, and she's like, yeah, well, I've changed, and clearly you guys have too, because you're no longer the things that you were in that time period, right? And kind of...
Yeah, separatist isn't just a separatist against you.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's a separatist against the Empire, technically.
Exactly. And, of course, they don't know her background or her backstory, beyond the Clone Wars. And so I think it's more of a macro look at a discussion to growth, right? The whole episode's kind of around growth. If she is to obtain her potential, you have to let her go, right? And it goes back to the whole parent thing, right? For your children, for your kid to become their to reach their fullest potential, you have to let them go. Which of course no parent wants to let their kid go. So I think we're building to this point where there's going to be a release of her, and even beyond what we got in episode 11, which we'll talk to. And so it's I really enjoyed the episode. Like I said, I was pleased that we got Asajj for effectively the whole thing. And so I'm hoping that we maybe see some sort of offshoot series, or like some sort of like prequel show. Although if they wanted to do like
Tales of the...
Yeah, or an Adventures of Asajj, right? Something after the fact, where maybe she goes on bounty hunting things, or who knows, maybe Omega becomes her Padawan. I don't think that's going to happen, but I suppose it could. But an Adventures of Asajj, I would watch that. Or just give me Dark Disciple, but animated, and it would be pretty amazing. So what would you grade episode 9 real quick?
I'll just give it the 8.5 and move on. I think that's good. 8.5, it was solid. And just watching a Force user come into the world and be different than what we saw them as before, I think that was huge. Obviously a lot of off-screen development for our girl, but it was still impactful. It was a very impactful episode. Obviously taught Omega things, taught the batch some things. Whether or not they wanted to listen or not is totally on them. Mm-hmm. But
yeah, I would be in the same kind of ballpark, mid-8s. And so IMDb, of course, the treasure trove of greatness that it is, has it at an 8 out of 10. So I'm not going to go I'm not going to go into a breakdown of people's views, but the high level ratings are an 8 out of 10. So So that was episode 9, Harbinger. And then last week we got the Double Drop, Identity Crisis, and Point of No Return. So let's dig into episode 10, centering solely on Hemlock and Dr. Carr with a little Nalase sprinkled in. We pick up with Dr. Carr taking over for Nalase. I'll get to the other cameo in the end later on. Right, so Emery sort of confronting Hemlock as far as becoming kind of the chief scientist in the absence of Nalase. That's granted. She goes down to the vault.
She's earned it.
She has earned
She's
it.
earned it.
She's worked for years. Do you not trust me? And so, which there's a backstory there that I'm really interested in, that I don't think we're ever going to get. But regardless, so she's taken down to the vault, where we see the specimens that they're using for testing. They are children. Young children, adolescents.
We done figured it out.
Yeah,
we figured it out.
So
Hemlock secret, he would be canceled in today's age.
Yeah. And I have an interesting talking point, I think, to kind of go with this here in a second. But so she kind of learns. Well, she asks if there are any adults, of course, but Hemlock alludes to the fact that there are a few adults that possess the level of M count that is required for the testing. And it's at this point that we learn that Omega's blood.
Weird.
Yeah, strange. I wonder what happened. And we learn that Omega's blood is effectively like a binder of sorts. That perhaps it's not fully like high M count so much as it has some sort of genetic power plant to take Jedi M count levels, and when they clone it or when they replicate it, you get similar M count levels. It's interesting that Hemlock talks about the fact that you cannot directly replicate a high M count user and get the same level. Of course, there's degradation there, which is what I think we see kind of in like the sequel trilogy with the degradation of some of the hosts, trying to come straight from perhaps even Palpatine to make those clones. But anyways, we cut to everyone's favorite Duros bounty hunter, Cad Bane, who is on the hunt for a high end count infant, which is called in by the neighbor, that bald-chinned meanie.
This is a sad scene to watch.
It was
I actually
really
did not
heartbreaking.
enjoy this.
I didn't really care for this episode as a parent. I was like, oh my god, this is terrible. Which I guess.
And then you think about what the Jedi did.
Oh, don't steal my controversial opinions, John. Don't steal my controversial talking points, John. Curses. Anyways.
Curses.
Curses. Well, there it is. Cat's out of the bag. Yeah. So Emery goes to meet Cad, only to find that again, the sample, the specimen is an infant in a pram with its little stuffed animal, which I will say, like that scene where Toto's trying to like get the kid in and then is like trying to figure out how to keep it quiet. It's like every new...
As a dad.
Exactly. Because every new parent's like, all right, where's the stuffed animal to keep the kid quiet?
I can't do this. How do I do this? Oh wait, I did it.
The small victories of being a young parent. Yeah. So she's learned that they're getting even younger in this instance, and
but those are the easier ones.
Of course, they're easier to subjugate, and they don't know why they're here or why they're there. And so you get a slight bit at the very end with Emery finding the Tuca doll that she took from Omega, which she had held on to, interestingly enough, and providing it to one of the older children. Sounds terrible to say. who is completely
Eva, right? Is it Eva?
Ava, yeah, who is saddened by the fact that, well, one, Emery lied to her about the
Not
other
on purpose.
kid getting in trouble. But also,
She didn't know the protocol.
that's true. She's brand new.
She should have read up. She should have read up on the protocols when she got promoted. That's really her fault.
She didn't read the handbook. There was no handbook reading. Everyone skims it, right? Nobody reads the fine print.
She signed a document.
So the episode ends with the Tuca doll, sitting there, and of course Eva being very happy to receive it. So, your thoughts on the episode?
I enjoyed the episode from the aspect that it, included none of our main characters. It focused on the backstory of what the Empire was doing. So like I said before, like if there's Empire involved, like give me more. I like seeing those backstory episodes. So it did hurt. I mentioned earlier already, like just watching that scene with Cad stealing the infant. That's a tough watch because he's just doing it for the money. And it's frustrating that the neighbor just called him in, and then he just throws him the money, just groveling the money up off the ground.
Thanks for the tip.
Yeah, so it's a tough episode to watch from a family standpoint and everything else, and getting torn away and watching those kids and infants get torn away. And then the other infants or the other children that Emery's talking to saying, I just want to go home.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, it's a little heart-wrenching, but at the same time, it was nice to see the background on what they're doing with some of their specimen that they're harvesting, along with what trials they're running. So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It was an okay episode for what, I mean, it delivered what it was supposed to, but as far as viewing pleasure, probably not one of the most rewatchable episodes for me.
Yeah, I will not be. The only reason I rewatched it was to try and find certain quotes to talk to, because as you said, it was a very difficult episode to watch just because of the the subject matter. As I mentioned, there's an interesting backstory between Emery and Nalase and presumably Hemlock as well, because there's a point where Emery visits Nalase and asks if, she's like, they're just children like I was. And then she asks Nalase, are they to be discarded like I was? So at some point, Dr. Carr was specimen of some sort. So the question is, she mentioned that her and Omega were sisters at some point, I think that was at the end of season 2, right? And so is Emery a clone of, like an accelerated clone of Omega? And was it, was her blood just not good enough as a binder to create these M counts? I don't know. I don't know. Again, maybe we'll never probably find that out. The soundtrack in this episode was crazy eerie.
Yes.
And again, kudos to the Kiner team on the music that they do. Again, top notch. It almost kind of felt Andorish, like the like Narkina 5 feel to it, like with that,
like the dark tone. You're in a prison. I mean, it's a prison basically. So,
right? That sterile, everything, all white, lab sort of setting with that kind of synthetic, almost like computer, robotic sounding, tones, music, that sort of stuff. Again, kind of Blade Runner-y, or that kind of era type thing, which was great. It added an extra level of creepiness the episode. But yeah, as you kind of already stole my thunder on, I couldn't help but think of in how like similar this was to what the Jedi would do, and how not necessarily from an experimentation perspective, of course, but the fact that they would go and they would more or less take children, and because they were easier to indoctrinate into the order, into the creed, you know.
There's a reason why Anakin was too old.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where you well, one, I'm curious how they found these other kids. I mean, are they just randomly like lifting and throwing vases in a shop and that's how they're identified, or are they using holocrons to locate these kids?
Yeah,
To collect
I
them?
mean, I think the lore is through holocrons, and like we saw,
We see that in Fallen Order,
like
that there's a holocron that has all the Force sensitive
well,
children on it.
right in Grogu, Grogu used the temple as a reaching out point, and Yoda with all of his Force sensitivity could probably reach out, and I'm sure he had a temple and probably multiple holocrons that he would use to reach out to Force sensitive beings. Like, for instance, I mean, we watched in Tales of the Jedi, Ahsoka was found.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like her tribe reported it to somebody. Like, it was, they were on a planet with a bunch of Togrutas that all of a sudden a Jedi appeared to take to like be like, oh, she is a special one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that's the thing.
Took her away.
The Jedi don't exist anymore. So who's opening these holocrons to find? Like, if they're
Right
using
now.
holocrons, who's opening it to read it, to view them? Or
Well, right now they're based on tips. Right now, currently,
you would have to
like
think.
they're based on tips. Yeah,
So
and it's obviously a high enough reward for any neighbor to be like, I just saw that kid throw a fruit without touching it.
yeah, it's very. It has a very again, to use sort of real world, at least domestic policy, like during the Red Scare, right, where everybody reported everybody for being communist and getting rewarded for it, right? Like there's a reward in turning in Force sensitive. Which how are people aware that bounty hunters are even looking for Force sensitive people? Are they putting out like
It's gotta be common knowledge.
is there like an article out there that's like searching for high M count? Like, how do people even know what M count is? Like, how
It wouldn't be uncount. I think it's just Force users. Period. I mean, we're in a time where, you know, we're talking about Inquisitor time. Like the Inquisitors are out there hunting Jedi already. Also, like they're just on the startup right now.
right? Yeah, I mean they're not established yet, but
Oh no, I think they're established already. I would assume they are.
yeah, I guess I can never remember how far ahead we've jumped in the 3 seasons, but I mean it takes obviously time to set up the Inquisitorius, but
I mean, you've only got 20 years between Order 66 and A New Hope, right?
yeah, 19, but who's counting?
I'm sorry, I rounded. My apologies to all those super fans out there.
Nerds.
Nerds. But yeah, I think, I mean, I would imagine they're pretty established already, or at least beginning to be established. So the top Inquisitors are probably out there already hunting Force sensitive people. So anybody that's Force sensitive or any common world being probably knows that there are rewards for Force sensitive reports.
Yeah, so it just, I mean, it's one of those things where it happens, you know, behind the scenes, whether it's strictly off tips or if there was, again, some sort of bulletin that said, hey, do you know if you've got a Force user in your life, turn him into a Class 1 bounty hunter for a reward, right? So, again, it's not important to the story. It's just kind of interesting. And, again, the parallels between, you know, experimentation aside, that kind of parallel between what the Jedi would do versus what what is currently happening. That may be a controversial take as far as that comparison, but the Jedi weren't all sunshine and rainbows. Let's be honest about this. There's a reason that their hubris got the best
From
of
a
them.
certain point of view.
Yeah. So the episode itself, I think, does obviously it reveals kind of the linchpin in Project Necromancer, establishes Omega's importance, which is great for us. Obviously, the batch still don't know what's going on. It was nice to get kind of that slight chink in the armor, if you will, for Dr. Carr, because I thought she was actually going to help Omega at the beginning of the season, but it looks like perhaps she might flip. She might do something helpful.
She might come around.
She might do something helpful here in the last 4 episodes. So what would you give it from a grade? Well, first, anything else you want to talk about as far as episode 10?
No, I think I'm good there. I don't think we missed anything.
No. So what would you grade it?
Ooh, I'm gonna give it a 7.2. I enjoyed the episode, but I will probably not rewatch it. So that's I don't want to rewatch it. So I think that's why I'm going to give it a low grade here, just because. And I feel like the internet's gonna say it's the Bad Batch, but we didn't see any of the Bad Batch, so I feel like we're gonna hit a low grade here.
So you're trying to match IMDb, is what you're saying?
Well, it's like half match, half just. I probably won't rewatch it willingly, so.
That's fair. Yeah, so I would have given it probably around an 8, just because you do get more of the story, sort of the background for the main story elements. One thing wanted to note real quick is so there's a scene where I think it's Dr. Carr walks into Hemlock's office and he's looking at a data pad and stuff like that, and there's something on it, and we were talking at the beginning of the season about what's in the pods, and I think I had originally thought that they were probably Jedi hosts, but we see now that they're using children as Jedi hosts. So what are in the pods? And we see that actually at the beginning of episode 10. And Wade from Records of the Republic, he was again on with the hyperspace crew a couple episodes ago, and he mentioned that he thought Hemlock was working on the first batch of Dark Troopers. And looking at that data pad, I was like, and I it's hard not to at least buy into that theory because of what Gideon says about removing the human element to it, and how maybe the Shadow clones are that step to the Dark Trooper, are the step to, what we see in Mandalorian. So again, shout out to.
Gosh, you think it took them that long to get there? 30 years.
I mean, that's 30. Yeah,
years.
That's 25 years. I mean, yeah. I could totally see that.
6 years in between. Yeah.
So, but I just wanted to drop that in there. So, so kudos to Wade on that. I like that. I like that theory a lot.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah.
And so I would have given it an 8. IMDb's got it at an 8.2, with 1,200 ratings. So
yeah. I just don't want to rewatch it, and an 8-point rating means I don't mind rewatching it. I just don't. I guess I could skip those parts with Cad taking the kid. I think that was when I was watching that happen. I'm just like, ooh, I really don't like this. So yeah, maybe that's just me.
Well, it's because you have a 10-month-old.
I still have a 10-month-old. Yeah, I still have a 10-month-old. So I was watching it happen, and I'm like, this is not. They're not going to show this. They're obviously not going to show this. Oh, they're showing it. Okay.
At least the parent was stunned. It could have gotten a lot darker real fast.
Well, yeah, I was surprised he stunned her. To be honest,
Cad doesn't take unnecessary casualties. I mean, he's a bounty hunter. He's not.
Wait.
Yeah, well, never mind. So anyways, yeah, so that was episode 10. Pivoting now to episode 11, Point of No Return. This is the sort of the assault on Pabu, basically. You got the Shadow Clone XC2 700,000. I don't remember his name.
He is really causing some problems.
But he is being chastised by Hemlock for being terrible at his job. And, don't come back without the kid. Okay. Message received. So, yeah, he infiltrates Pabu quite easily. Again, like, they have no external defenses whatsoever.
Oh, no, they have nothing.
They have nothing.
Real quick pause. Did we miss Tarkin in last episode, or was that this episode?
No, you're right. No, I think it was last.
He got really upset about the funding. Anyway,
it was in episode 2 or episode 10. Yeah, and that's true. Tarkin did get upset about that. I find it funny.
He was very upset about the budget, the fiscal responsibility of Hemlock.
The bottom line is not balancing.
Anyway, that was I was saving that. I was
Dr. Hemlock.
The politician was coming through, real strong there.
I think it's funny because again at this point I don't know that Tarkin's yet Grand Moff.
He's not yet.
And so it's interesting that he is, because we always of course know him as Grand Moff Tarkin, and he's like in charge of Imperial finances or something. So he's like the controller. He's like the Imperial controller that no one likes to try and put any expenditures through because he likes to veto everything.
I just love how he was like questioning Hemlock, and Hemlock's like, "The Emperor said I can spend what I want, so shut the hell up."
That's right.
Well, what are you working on? That's classified.
You're on a need-to-know basis, Tarkin, and you don't need to know.
I loved it.
Like, yeah, Tarkin gets put in his place. You're like, yeah, all right. There's a hierarchy yet, and R&D outranks you. Which, as an engineer, I appreciate that. As an engineer, it's like our project is way more important than whatever it is you're working on.
Way more important. All right, it's a 7.8. I'll give it a 7.8 because it's 0.6 bump. Tarkin was there.
Because Tarkin was there. Do you think he was wearing his Gucci slippers?
He was absolutely wearing the boots. Sorry.
Oh, he was keeping it professional, as the Imperial accountant.
You think in animation they worry about what's under the camera? I don't know.
I'd like to think they do some sort of Pixar thing where they put in their own like bloopers and Easter eggs for each other, like when they do their screenings, and someone at some point is going to just like drop in Tarkin in some slippers. Just do it intentionally.
Oh, that'd be so good.
That was in episode 10. So episode 11, Assault on Pabu. Shadow Clone.
No external defenses.
No, terrible defenses. R.I.P. Marauder, just completely annihilated.
That wasn't fun. Thank God they didn't do a HasLab.
I was going to say, at least they didn't sell a HasLab and then blow it up the next episode. That would have been terrible.
So great.
So yeah, I mean, it basically.
I still have a Razor Quest. Hey, all of our listeners out there, I still have a Razor Crest available.
A Waza Quest? Is that what you have?
Quest.
A Waza Quest.
A Waza Quest is out there. All the sealed figures inside, shipper intact, unopened.
Do you think
low price?
Do you think they'll have Razor Crest 2.0 in Mando and Grogu?
I keep hoping for that, but I don't think so.
That would be something.
The next HasLab, the N1 Starfighter in 6-inch scale.
People would be upset about that.
I would buy it. I would still buy it.
That'd be cool. So there's an assault. Well, not even assault. They basically lock down the island, going door to door, looking for.
Oh yeah, it's like a pure Germany invaded Poland.
It is bad. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And they're like flaming out people's houses even after they check it. Like it is.
Yeah.
It kind of reminded me of. Peak Empire, or not Peak Empire, but like the scene in Kenobi where Vader is just marching down the road and just annihilating everyone in his way.
Yeah.
Like this guy's
neck there.
This guy's got carte blanche to do whatever he wants with his clone battalion. Not even clone battalion.
You're destroying our skiffs. That's our livelihood. I could do more.
Yeah,
do you want me to do more?
I don't care. Yeah, that mayor just sitting under his tree doing nothing. I will say, as we talk about the episode, I'll get to that. So we get Omega deduces that Wrecker gets destroyed in the explosion. I thought maybe Wrecker might bite it, but of course
I was hoping that was not the end.
Yeah,
Fortunately, it was not.
Fortunately, it was not. But Omega comes to the sort of realization that everyone is getting hurt because of her. So naturally, she believes that the only way to get the coordinates, one, help the people of Pabu, and two, figure out where Tantiss is to give herself up. Which is actually a really important moment in, I think, her entire character development. Because, and I'll talk to it here in a little bit, but, Crosshairs doesn't want that, and she's like, here, just put a tracker. I'll carry my comms and everything like that. And he's like, no, they'll search you for comms, which, of course, they do. And unfortunately, Crosshair does not attach the tracking beacon to the ship because he is attacked at an inconvenient time, and so the batch is left to theoretically search for Omega once again with no sort of direction to start in. So that's kind of the episode. Your thoughts?
I think they'll probably find Omega in about an episode. No.
Okay, how? How do you think they're going to do that?
Well, I think we're going to get a flip inside Tantiss, so I think Emery's going to help this time around. Will not have the freedom that she had last time she was in the base.
That's true.
So that'll happen, but we'll see how they eventually get there, but it was kind of sad that Crosshair couldn't get the shot. I thought that was a good game plan. I also am curious to see. Crosshair had already commented, now it's like 4 episodes ago, that like it wouldn't be the type of tracker that you're looking for on when they were interrogating the other shadow agent.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering if he did something with Omega that is trackable, even though he still tried to put, it kind of contradicts itself. Like, why would he try to track the ship if he knew that he had it covered? It wouldn't make much sense from a tactical standpoint, if that makes sense.
Kind of I would think it's probably a redundancy, right? Like you do militarily. There's always redundancies. Or
unless
you try to have
he was trying
to have redundancy.
Oh, unless he was trying to fake it out, like he was like, if I get caught doing this, they know I was trying to do this, so they think they.
Except he killed everyone.
Well,
So that doesn't really work.
Well,
that plan.
I'm just trying to think of why he would try to do it, and I think ultimately, we're in a position where we don't have the tracker.
Right.
But I at first I thought that's how they were going to do it, because when she first said, "Oh, I won't do that," or "I can do this," and he's like, "They'll check you for that," I'm like, well, a way that they probably wouldn't check for. So I mean, I did think about that.
Mm-hmm.
They might not have it with them, so it wouldn't matter. Anyway, he did kill them all. I forgot about that. I conveniently forgot about that.
I was curious if they would have done like a double tracker, where they put one kind of in an obvious spot and it gets hit first by the scanner, and then there's one
He
in
didn't
like
recheck it.
they didn't like scan her whole top to bottom, so they scanned her to her hip basically, and all right, here's the comm device, and so
And why wouldn't you scan again?
right, well,
That's a rookie. That's a
Emperor
rookie move.
Empire hubris sort of thing, right? But yeah,
Nobody's smarter than me.
well, so the thing that I was going to talk about with the scene with Omega and the mayor's daughter, where she's leaving behind treasures and they pull out text glasses.
Oh,
I'm like,
yeah.
again, just keep stabbing me for. Now, although I will say that by doing that, the whole Tech is the shadow clone, which I thought was a dumb theory, anyways, is I don't see any validity in that whatsoever. I mean, Tech is toast, and he should be. I mean, that was, but I think it's a perfect sort of little. It sets the stage for what happens at the end of the episode, where Omega does the most Tech thing imaginable, which is this has to be, Crosshair is basically Omega in that scene where he's like, no, we can't do that. There's got to be something else. And Omega is like, no, this is the mission. This is how we have to do this. And it was totally just how it was a role reversal where she's the one now, confidently deciding these things. And it's what Tech would have done. And so, it's fitting that, of course, his glasses are given or left behind as sort of an offering to that sort of shrine there, because it's the most Tech thing she could do. She is the mature one at this point. The growth, right? Going back to the Harbinger, the growth for her is like peak now, right? Where, she's not a kid. She's not that kid anymore that we met in season 1 or even the beginning of season 2. Like, she is a full-fledged soldier, for good or bad, and she is confident in her decision making, and I think it surprises. It takes Crosshair back when she does it, but she seems calm almost in the decision, knowing that it's their best chance, and so she's willing to make that play, take that risk to save the other clones, right? It's not about her anymore. It's about stopping the situation on Pabu, and in the end, saving all the clones, or as many clones as possible. So that was really a very cool moment at the end of that episode.
I agree. Yeah, absolutely.
And then of course we talked about it already, the loss of the Marauder, RIP, had to happen, right? At some point, I think, just because
I think I texted you and I just said they're going to lose. Like, at the end of the series, like, they're gonna lose stuff. Like, they're gonna lose. And the Marauder was their figurative home.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And so is Pabu, right? So they've lost both essentially, and even though of course Pabu still stands, it's not the same, and they know that the batch is still there, so presumably that occupation will continue for a time, but the more I watch the series, the more I go back to what we talked about before the season even started about who's going to make it. I think my prediction might be right. I think she might be the only one that makes it out. Because again, goes back to what Asajj said, is the only way she'll grow, or the only way that Omega will reach her potential, is to be away from them. So
Do you think she ends up with somebody like Asajj at the end of the series?
Or Rex or Echo. I mean, her full potential.
That's not very much different than the Bad Batch, though. So
that's true. That's true. Maybe Asajj comes back to help fight. Maybe she's part of the cavalry. That'd be pretty cool. See her slice and dice some Imperials. That'd be pretty awesome.
Well, we'll see Mace Windu pop up. Zombie Mace Windu.
Take a seat, citizen. Anything else you want to talk about as far as episode 11 is concerned?
No, we're just seeing Mace Windu walk in. Citizen. Oh,
That'd be good.
No, I think I mean it's a pretty cut and dry episode. I mean, the Shadow Trooper did his job, grounded the Bad Batch, along with took out the escape route from the island. So everything kind of went to plan for the Empire that episode.
Mm-hmm. So what grade would you give it?
Well, probably an 8.5. The action was good. Yeah, I'll get between an 8 and 8.5, somewhere in there. I'll give it to it. I enjoyed the action.
So it meets your level of rewatchability to be an 8.
Yeah, and on top of that, like, I mean, granted, it won't be this way going forward, but the first watch, I mean, there was real danger for some of our batch members.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, Wrecker was legit. I was truly, when I saw him walking up to the dock, that's truly the scene where you see the best friend in the movie walking to the car and the car explodes and you lose your friend. You know, like, that's the scene. So I the first thing I thought, I'm like, you gotta be kidding me if that's how Wrecker goes. But I fully was ready for Wrecker to be gone, even though that he's my bet for the making it through the series, even though it's gonna break my heart when he doesn't make it. But yeah, but like an 8.5, somewhere in that range. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the tactics that went through it. Just similar to the Spire episode we had, with the raid on Rex's first base. Just the tactics that went through for the Empire and how they worked through finding, and ultimately this was just a merciless hunt until Omega gave up, which is the same tactics that every other hunter uses for the Empire. They hunt mercilessly until the Jedi give themselves up. Like if it's an Inquisitor, you know, like they make people suffer until the guilt overcomes the Jedi to come out and announce themselves.
Exactly. Yeah, so I'm in the same boat, like 8.5 for me. Many of the same reasons. The things go boom, fire. I'm simple.
We like the boom boom sticks.
I'm a simple grunt when it comes to my enjoyment of things. But no, again, for as much shtick and grief as I give and as I have given Omega over the course of 3 seasons, like one thing that I have been impressed with is how they've grown her character. You know, we talk about her leveling up, and like, you know, in the realm of her level up, her charisma and her speech is like top tier now, right? She is highly convincing and confident in how she speaks, and
speaking from authority now.
Yeah, and so she's got the riz, as the kids nowadays say. I mean, that's hip to say. I'm a hip dad.
Yeah, you just ruined it by being hip. So that's fine.
Hip hop.
Keep going, Sean.
I'm going.
Hip hop anonymous.
Hip hop anonymous. So yeah. Anyways, so the progressive level up to where she is now is fantastic from a character perspective. Like, the writing is great. It has been from the beginning. You know, everyone always complains about the filler episodes and that sort of stuff, but the need to build the characters over each of these 16 episodes for 3 seasons has gotten us to this point where her actions are now believable, and they're not just like on a whim. They're not out of nowhere. Like everything.
Yeah,
that's
we didn't ask the question why.
Right.
Why would Omega do this episode? No, we didn't have to ask that. We knew why she did it. It totally made sense.
Yep. And it's
Love it.
It's all of the things that she's learned from the guys over the the last 2.5 seasons has gotten to this point, and the point of no return. And we are 4 episodes away. We're leading up to the assault on Tantiss, and it is going to be. I'm gonna say it's going to be a fast-paced last 4 episodes here. So you got Juggernaut, Into the Breach, Flash Strike, and the Cavalry has arrived. I mean, none of those sound like slow episodes, and so it should be a fun ride. So IMDb's got it at 8.6 out of 10. So it is tied for the highest rated of the season. So
Makes sense.
Yeah. Anything else you want to wish to discuss tonight? About anything, any of the episodes we've covered?
I think we're good on the episodes. I think we're good there.
Cool. So, looking forward to Juggernaut this Wednesday. Back to the single episode releases through the end of the season. Actually, I think. We're getting single episodes the rest of the way out. So that'll be good. So no double drops for the rest of the season. So as we bring this episode to a close, we want to thank you all for listening. If you've made it this far, be sure to follow or subscribe to the show. Leave a rating and review and link up with us on social media. Be sure to check the show notes for links to our social channels. And if you have things you'd like to hear in the future episode, our DMs are there to slide into. Check out our back catalog of episodes where you're sure to find something you'll enjoy and share us with your friends. Join us and together we will rule the galaxy. As we have for every episode this year so far, we will leave you with a slight nugget of wisdom, which again, I think is pertinent for the episodes we've discussed tonight, and that is, for everything you gain, you lose something else. With that, we're going to bring this episode to a close. So for Jedi John, I'm Obi Sean, and until next time,
may the Force be with you.
Force,